Hi, friends. Today's show is about educating you guys what are T visas and how they work for green card legalization for truck drivers, restaurant workers, and domestic help, like housekeepers, babysitters, home attendants, gardeners, and so on. I'm here today with my good friend and a wonderful psychiatric expert who testifies in immigration court hearings, writes reports for all kinds of humanitarian visa cases, and generally always educates us about what kind of immigration cases, issues people have that are common to everyone in certain categories. Inna Revutsky. Hi, Inna, welcome.
Hi, Marina. Thank you for having me. I'm removing my glasses. This is the fun part of my day. It's been busy for all of us.
So we've been talking to a lot of people lately who, in fact, qualify, and I'm saying this as an immigration attorney with 22 years of experience, that qualify for a T visa. Now, T visa is a special humanitarian visa. It's meant for two categories of people, and it's not always what people automatically think about when they think about trafficking. So T stands for trafficking. Trafficking is sometimes when people are brought into United States to do farm work or other type of, like really heavy labor from other countries for very cheap, right? They don't get paid a lot. Or also commonly known as like sexual trafficking, when women and men are used, for prostitution, essentially drugged and abused, right? So those are, of course, the most common categories of T visas. But we are not here to talk about those people because those are obvious, right? We are here to talk about the less obvious categories, such as somebody who drives a truck and sometimes makes like decent money for American standards, above what could be considered an average salary in the US. Somebody who works as a dishwasher in a restaurant, a server, somebody who works as a housekeeper, babysitter, lives where they work. However, those people are also eligible to get a T visa and then a green card through this T visa process because they're exploited, taken advantage of in their job, in their work situation. So when I say exploited, what do you think I mean,
What I often see in those type of cases, people don't know their rights. So they think that, let's just, for example, look at babysitters. If they're babysitting, they have this, idea that they belong to the family and they're supposed to work 24 hours. And that's kind of what happens if it's a small child that they're taking care of. They're taking care of the baby during the day, and then they sleep in the same room with the baby, so they're up all night. So it's like a 24-hour 7 day a week kind of cycle, and people don't know their rights. They are supposed to get a break during the day, they're supposed to get a break during the night, they're supposed to have some days off during the week. uh, you can't function 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, because it's dangerous to your health. It's dangerous to the health of the child. If you're not receiving enough sleep, you become irritable, you become annoyed, and, you can't do your job right. So we see that with babysitters, the same thing with people who drive trucks. You can't safely operate a vehicle 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, depending on the weather conditions. If it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's, not the best day, you're not feeling, at 100%, you're supposed to have breaks, and people just don't know their rights. That's what I'm seeing a lot when people reach out and they need evaluations. They are not necessarily aware of the rules and regulations in this country on labor and what they're entitled to have.
Yeah, and sometimes, and I will ask you as a professional, why do you think this happens? But I have, consultations with men sometimes, and I'll say, we go through the screening. Are they eligible for this? Are they eligible for that? Sometimes they're not eligible for asylum. And then they say, okay, well, what about T visa? They've never heard of T visa. Have you ever had a situation where you worked somewhere and you were taken advantage of? Not treated well, like badly treated? No. The first thing they say is no. Then I say, okay, well, let me ask you in a different way. For a T visa, have you ever had to wait for your salary more than like in other words, you didn't get paid every 2 weeks like you're supposed to? Yes, that happened to me. Okay, did you ever work more than 40 hours a week and not get overtime? Yes, that happened to me all the time. Okay, were you always given the proper safety equipment, like goggles if you're in a construction site, like a special hard hat, like a belt if you're lifting? No, no. I'm like, okay, well, have you ever had something hurt you at work, fall on you? Yes, that's happened all the time. Okay, well, did you get like workman's compensation? Did you get medical insurance? Did you get this? No, 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 and no across the board. So when they ask like 1,000 questions, I know that's what you do also when you write these evaluation reports. They say no. Why? Why do they say no? They were, yeah. Like in other words, were you mistreated? No. Did this happen? Yes, yes, yes. So why do people think in their brains that, hey, I'm being mistreated here?
I mean, one of the reasons, it's a cultural difference. Like people that move here from, let's say Philippines or, Asian countries, men that come here from, let's say, some of the former Soviet Union republics, like you're expected to be strong. The laws are so different. Like, people in China are expected to work. The age when children are allowed to start working are different. Like I've come across some Chinese nannies. They work for $200 a week. It's practically free, like free laborers. They're
Yeah,
working, they're living with the family, they sleep with the baby, they feed the baby, they clean the house, they do the laundry. I've done some assessments for people that came here and their documents were held by the employer. They were
yeah,
not, they were just not allowed to request a salary. They were not allowed to take breaks. And the reason why that happens is people just do not know the laws of labor. And it's expected, like if you're a woman in other cultures, it's expected that you take care of the home, take care of the child, you cook, you iron, you clean, you do laundry. You're just expected to be like a free laborer. So they come here and they get a wonderful opportunity to live in the United States, and then they end up in the predicaments where they are taken advantage of. So if you as an attorney start asking them questions, they of course they'll say, "Oh yeah, everything is okay." Like I had a case of a husband and wife. They moved here, I think, from Bangladesh, and they found a job in a hotel. And they were cleaning rooms during the day, and at night she was offered a job as a front office. And I
uh-huh.
thought to myself, like how many times I went to like a hotel somewhere and I've seen like a Pakistani family in the front, or in the front, checking us in at like 1 in the morning. And I thought to myself, wow, like this is a family that could be cleaning during the day, and then they're expected to work these 24-hour shifts. And this is exactly what this family was dealing with. They worked in a hotel. She was pregnant. And eventually she told the bosses, I'm sorry, I can't work the night shift. I need time to rest. I'm pregnant. And the bosses got very upset and they threatened them and they had to leave the job. So people don't know their rights.
Yeah, so that's definitely a big part of it. And just because you automatically, instinctively want to say, no, that's not me, I wasn't abused, I wasn't exploited, it doesn't mean that legally you were not. And another part of this, I think, besides what you rightfully, I think, pointed out about the culture difference, is the fact that they almost feel grateful that they got a job at all, not being legal, without the work permit, and so on. So they're willing to put up with a lot of difficult situations and challenges and being taken advantage of because they feel like their trade-off is that they're being allowed to work in the US and support their families. And that is just not how this works. So we decided, Ina and I, to record this to show you there's a different way. We can file for you for a T visa and include your spouse and your kids. And if you're a young person, even your parents and siblings sometimes in this T visa process. We have to show you we're taking advantage of. Here, you're going to need counseling, therapy, a psychiatric report from Ina or another psychiatric expert or psychological expert. You're going to need to show and prove this job. We will be making a complaint on your behalf, usually to the Department of Labor on the federal and state level. Most of the time, your employer might not even find out it's you that complained, and most of the time they deserve to have this complaint because they really mistreated you and other people, so they should be stopped. In addition to this, I always point out to people that the great benefit to this is you can get a separate lawyer for your labor rights violations and get money from them. You have to sue them, and suing them in federal court helps your case for the T visa too, and it gets you money, and you can even get punitive damages, right, Ina? I think I know you have some understanding on this because you wrote some reports on these. What do you know about this?
I know. Well, I mean, we deal with this all the time. Um, you know, like from the personal experience, one of my first jobs was at a restaurant, and I have something to compare to because now my daughter works in a restaurant, and I'm like, oh my God, you get paid that much? They feed you? They don't make you wash the toilets? Like my first restaurant job, my boss took away my tips. He made me clean the bathrooms. And I worked like these crazy hours. And God forbid he would give me food. Like my daughter now goes to work. Yes, she has to clean, not the bathrooms. At the end of the night, they have to clean
The
the
tables
restaurant,
and the floors,
the
of course.
tables and the floors. But he doesn't take her tips away. She keeps
Yeah,
her.
it's illegal. It's illegal.
I
And
didn't know
also,
that.
it's illegal not to pay the waiter anything and just hope they're going to get tips. There are laws that make the waiters pay like a little bit lower than the minimum
Mhm.
wage, but they still have to pay you and you have to keep your tips. And there's other rules, and you can't work more hours than you're supposed to. Babysitters, nobody is allowed to take your passport from you. If you live at a place, and now we file in our office for green cards for domestic help too, right? So by law, we have to go through these federal requirements. The employer, if somebody lives there, has to feed you, has to give you time off if they're not going to feed you, like to go eat somewhere else, has to give you breaks. You got to get paid at least the minimum wage or if not more. There's like rules. You need to have days off. You need to like sleep at night. And if you work at night, then you have to sleep during the day. There's rules that people just don't follow when somebody works in their home, when somebody works in their restaurant. And the worst thing, and makes you the most eligible, is when they constantly talk about your immigration status to you, or if they promise to file for you for a green card and never do. That's the kind of thing that makes you eligible for this T visa and then a green card. You need a psychiatric report. If you have other medical problems, I'm going to ask you for your medical records. We need to write a statement. It would help to get witness letters, and you're going to have a good case and get a visa. So, Ina, do you want to add some other common things that you see people go through who are eligible for a T visa before we wrap this up?
I think we really covered everything. If you have a question, you need to definitely work with an attorney. You have to contact Marina to schedule a consultation. A good, well rounded attorney could guide you on your rights. And even if it's just a consultation, I think you should really consider getting a consultation from someone and somebody who can guide you and help you in your situation.
Yeah, on your journey. And right now more than ever, because just walking around illegal, this could be a lifesaver for you. to file for something and show, in case, God forbid, I stopped you somewhere and then, hey, you have a case in process, you have a humanitarian case. They usually will release you if you have a legitimate, T visa case and you didn't have arrests or, other convictions. You have a good chance that they will let you go and not deport you until you get approved for the T visa. And once you're approved, you can even get work permit and travel authorization and then a green card. So this is like a no lose situation. Call us today, call Inna for your psychiatric evaluation to help you in every kind of humanitarian immigration case. All our information is on the bottom here. Thank you so much for watching. Inna, before we wrap up, please say something before we go.
Good luck. We're here to help you, but I do encourage my people who outreach. You speak to an attorney, you make sure that you have a case. I'm not an attorney, I'm a medical expert. I help people with the psychiatric evaluations. I make referrals for therapy. I help you with the medical aspect, and the attorney helps you with the legal aspects.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.